Welcome to everyone present for this meeting in the Civic Centre and to those observing the meeting on Microsoft Teams. No fire drills are expected this evening, so in the event of the alarm sounding, please quickly make your way out of the building. There are 3 exits from this room which members can use to vacate the premises. Please turn your mobile phones onto silent or switch off and take any calls outside the council chamber. Do not leave any bags unaccompanied and report any unaccompanied bags. Remember to take any bags with you when the meeting has concluded or as you leave the meeting. This meeting may be subject to filming or audio recording by others in accordance with the Council's filming protocol. Anyone who remains in the meeting following this announcement have deemed to have consent to allow their image to be recorded and broadcast. I'd like to remind members to turn their microphones on when speaking and to sit back from the microphones to assist the audio recording. Thank you. First item on the agenda is award of mayoral commendations. I'm going to hand over to the elected mayor.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today at this special celebration event to show our appreciation to Charlotte Henshaw and the Seaforth Highlanders Band. The Mayor's Special Accommodation Awards are very close to my heart, and it's my opportunity to honour and say a special thank you to members of the district who go above and beyond to achieve their aspirations and bring joy to all our communities. Firstly, Charlotte, our golden girl. Hopefully you know how special you are to Mansfield. The foundation of your success was built here at Watermeadows under the expertise of our former swimming coach, Glenn Smith. Initially, you started out as a Paralympic swimmer. Success came in various championships, which resulted in bronze and silver Paralympic medals. Anyone else would have been satisfied with this success and would have thought they'd accomplished what others could only dream of. However, of course, that wasn't enough for you. So then you began to be trained to become a para-canoeist in late 2016. And of course, further achievements came to follow, winning medals in the European Championships and in World Cups. In 2021, Charlotte became the Paralympic canoeing champion by winning the gold medal in the women's KL2 event in Tokyo. But that wasn't enough even. So then we are, 4 years later, we have the sensational 2 gold medals in the KL2 and the VL3 races in the Paralympics in Paris. What can I say? You are such an inspiration to others to follow their dreams. Your determination, spirit and work ethic is truly aspirational and a true testament to you. You are Mansfield's true people's champion. Charlotte, I would like you to come forward and please accept a small token of my special appreciation for all you've achieved in sport and also all you continue to do in our communities to help inspire others. Charlotte Henshaw, please come forward. Well, award, I think they've already made their introduction. It's the Seaforth Highlanders Band, Notts Branch Pipe and Drums. The Seaforth Highlanders band North Branch Pipes and Drums, it's quite a mouthful, were born from just 4 members from the Seaforth Highland Regiment way back in 1966. Quite a year. That's when we won the World Cup, wasn't it? So yeah, a good year, 1966. Today, the band have 28 members, 18 of which are performing members wearing the uniform of the 4th Battalion Seaforth Highlanders. The band have attended and played at many services and events throughout the district, along with various cathedrals. They have played in New York, Germany, Spain, to name a few, so they are flying the flag for Mansfield internationally. My main reason for honouring you at this event is the astonishing that it's your 50th year of leading the Mansfield Remembrance Parade. I think that deserves some applause, please. Year in, year out, you lead our veterans through the town with the pipes and drums and majestic pride, which is a true achievement, and I offer you my sincere thanks for your commitment and patronage to the parade and to our town. I would like to offer you this small token of thanks to the band for all that you do locally and internationally for Mansfield. Please come forward and receive this small token. Thank you. So one more thing to do now before we start business, and it's not for every new chief executive, I arrange such a intro, but I want to welcome our new chief executive, James Middleton, and wish him all the luck going forward in his new role for the council.
Thank you, everybody. Item 2 on the agenda is apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies for absence?
Chair, we have apologies from Councillor Answer.
Thank you. Are there any more further apologies? Thank you. No more? Thank you. Item 3 of the agenda is declarations of interest. We'll hand it straight over to the lead officer.
Thank you, Chair. In accordance with the Council's constitution, those members that are liable to pay council tax in the district must declare so at any meeting involving the setting of a council tax. Can I therefore ask those members who are liable to pay tax, council tax, please raise their hand so their interest can be declared and recorded. Thank you. Secondly, those members that are tenants of the council property must also declare at any meeting dealing with housing matters. That those members that are council tenants, can you please raise your hand so your interest can be declared and recorded? Thank you. Sorry, I'm going on a bit. In addition, those members that have been minors in the past and have been a receipt of payment in kind must also declare at any meeting dealing with budgetary matters. Can those members raise their hand so their interest can be declared and recorded? Any members here? Any payment that you receive as part of being a minor? Thank you. That's right, yeah. Thank you. And finally, I'll declare a collective interest on behalf of all members in respect of allowance paid to councillors. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Move to item 4 of the agenda, the minutes of the meeting held on the 23rd of November 2024. I'd like to invite Councillor Coxhead to propose. Thank you.
Propose them, Chair.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder? Correct record? Thank you. Does anybody have any, everybody agree that the minutes are a correct record? Show of hands, please. You. Anybody? Any abstentions? Anybody disagree? Move on to item 5 of the agenda, the minutes of the extraordinary council held on 14th of December 2020. Would I have a proposer? Set the minutes as a correct record. Councillor Coxhead.
Propose.
Seconder. Councillor Henshaw. Can we have a show of hands to say that they're a correct record? Item 6 of the agenda, the receipt of correspondence before the council by the chair of the council, elected mayor, members of the exec or head of paid services. Have there been any correspondence?
There are none, Chair.
Thank you. Item 7 of the agenda, advanced questions from members of the public. Are there any advanced questions, members of the public?
Just one received, Chair.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Jordan Power to put this question to the portfolio holder for regeneration and growth. like to ask your question?
My question is, in the year 2025, why is the Four Seasons car park still not accepting card payments? Most of us don't carry cash, and it is then putting us off using the car park. The car park is in need of severe deep repairs. What is the current plans?
Mr. Richardson?
Yeah, thank you for that, Mr. Power. In response to the question, the Four Seasons multi-storey car park was constructed as part of the shopping centre in 1975 and is of reinforced concrete construction. Due to the age and construction of the structure, regular planned maintenance and additional ad hoc is required to maintain its structural integrity. Following routine inspection and safety concerns, it was revealed that concrete spalling had occurred. Together with damage to the structure caused by water ingress, a further detailed engineering inspection confirmed that the building was deemed to be safe to keep open after remedial works to remove the loose concrete, albeit the car park area taped off from the public use, and that a planned scheme of works was necessary to maintain the safety of the building. The proposed works include concrete repairs, waterproofing the deck levels, and drainage improvements to prevent further water ingress and damage to the structure. Other works will include improved lane demarcation, signage, and other works. To further answer your question, the provision of card, contactless, pay by phone, and Apple, Google Pay, etc., is included in the smart parking tender that has recently closed. Evaluation of the tenders are being carried out currently and should be concluded by the 31st of January. There will be a period of governance to follow to enable the award of the contract to the successful supplier. Once this is concluded, a pre-contract meeting will be held and the programme agreed. It is expected that this will be installed and operational by no later than the end of September. But the council will strive for the earliest completion date possible. The car parks have been ranked in order of priority, with Four Seasons car park being the highest priority. The council is committed to introducing new technology into all of our car parks to ensure that everyone has a choice how they pay, which is why they have allocated future funding from the Government Towns Fund to ensure that this will be achieved. In the interim, card payments will be taken on Robin Hood Line, Water Meadows and Clumber Street car parks, and all surface car parks can accept pay by phone payments through the Ringo app.
Thank you, Councillor Richardson. Mr. Powers, do you have a supplementary question? Sorry, that's my mistake. Item 6 on the agenda, advanced questions submitted by elected members. Are there any advanced questions?
Chair.
I'd like to invite Councillor Camilleri to put his question to the portfolio hold for regeneration and growth.
Thank you, Chair. Mansfield District Council received £2.994 million of allocation from the then Conservative Government's Town Fund for the 2021-22 period and planning approval for the redevelopment of Berry Hill Park. And planning was granted on December the 18th, 2023. The total estimated project cost is £3.23 million, with the remaining funding coming from Mansfield District Council. Despite repeated assurance from the council that work on the new CAF and recreational facilities would kick off immediately, we have yet to see any progress. Considering the significant rise in construction costs since these funds were allocated, could the Cabinet member please provide an explanation on how these increased costs will have impacted on the development? Could he provide us with a definite start date for the project and an expected completion timeline?
Camilleri for his question. It's a timed question, as I am pleased to confirm positive progress on the scheme at Berry Hill Park. However, can I firstly address some of the comments within the question. As background, this council stepped up to save the park in 2019 following a difficult period with its threatened closure. The council becoming the corporate trustee. This protected the immediate future of this incredibly valuable green and historic space. And many users, including the Harriers, and the many events that take place on the park. Park has a strong association with the mining industry across the area, and I'm proud to be able to stand by our commitment to its sustainable future. Working in consultation with users, residents, and the Friends of Burial Park, we have long been anxious to invest in the park if the opportunity arose, and the development of a master plan with strong community input that gave a solid foundation. The Towns Fund offered us that opportunity to progress to delivery. I would remind members that the funding for the Town Fund project was the subject of a competitive process and allocation. Has not been guaranteed throughout. The project has been subject to a number of steps in the process to secure the resources, including the approval of a business case by the government. This council has worked hard to ensure that this project remains live and viable throughout, addressing all the required hurdles. This included securing planning permission, and I would remind Councillor Camilleri on how planning process works. It might help to explain that once planning consent is secured, a set of conditions need to be met alongside. In this case, other non-material amendments. This is a sensitive site, and we have ensured that we responded to the conditions. The non-material amendments were determined on the 8th of January this year. No mention has ever been made of an immediate kick-off. It has indeed been a challenging period for the council and for contractors too, given the difficult economic circumstances over recent years. Turbulence created by the previous government, this project, like all others, is subject to pressures on costs, materials, availability, and uncertainty over inflationary pressures. That has also impacted on the ability of contractors to tender for works. The council's close management of the project to date has allowed the project to be progressed, minimising the financial impact on the council, noting that value engineering has been and will remain key throughout. Given the fragile market, the procurement process has been challenging, and after one preferred supplier unfortunately withdrew, I am delighted to say that we now have reached a position where we have an appointed contractor subject to contract. They have been incredibly supportive of our ambitions in delivering the project. I would urge members, and indeed members of the public who have taken a really positive interest, to look out for our press release once that's contracted.
Thank you, Councillor Richardson. Councillor Camilleri, do you have a supplementary question?
We hear this story all the time. I'll ask you a question. There are delays. We know that. We understand the problems. But the more you delay it, the more it's going to cost. With the significant delay in starting the Burial Park development, can the Cabinet member clearly explain what steps are being taken to prevent cost overruns and confirm, because you've not answered this, when will it be started? When can my residents of Berry Hill, when can it be started? Because seriously, we have been promised it before. We've been told the lady who was running the project has left and gone to different places. I want to know when you're going to start it. Fair enough.
So I think part of the answer was in the first part of the question, value engineering. We've had to, well, I think that's also been explained. Inflationary costs, turbulence on the market, it's all impacted on this type of project. Cost overruns and hold-ups have been all over the country, due in part to what the previous government did. So the public have been incredibly supportive of this. If memory serves me right, there were 1,000 people when the consultation went out, commented on this. They've been very, as far as I'm aware, they've been very happy. Yes, time has slipped, and when the time is due, it will be announced when the start date is.
Councillor Richardson. Councillor Wright, would you like to put your question forward?
Thank you, Chair. A question to a portfolio holder for regeneration. At the meeting of the full council on September the 17th, 2024, I asked the portfolio holder for regeneration two straightforward supplementary questions. 5 of your questions he should have known the answers to. Rather unsurprisingly, portfolio resorted to promising me 2 written responses. Council Constitution states 3.04.9.5. An answer may take the form of A direct oral answer, B, where the desired information is in a publication of the council or other published work, a reference to that publication, or where a reply cannot conveniently be given orally, a written answer circulated to the questioner and all other members of the council. A member to whom the question is put may also decline to answer. My question is, why did I have to send 2 reminders and wait 6 weeks for my 2 responses?
Councillor Richardson.
Right, thank you, Councillor Wright, for your question. I would like to point out that particular meeting, I did not give a timeline for a response to the question. However, I would apologise for the delay in sending out the written response to your supplementary question. The delay was merely due to an administrative oversight after the position regarding the questions was clarified with officers.
Councillor Wright, do you have a supplementary question?
Didn't all members receive the 2 aforementioned written responses as per the Constitution?
Councillor Richardson.
So I'm not sure about that. I didn't send the email out, so I'm not sure why people didn't get that.
Thank you. Councillor Wright, would you like to put your question forward to the portfolio holder for the environment?
To the portfolio of regeneration. At the full council meeting of the 16th of July 2024, you gave a response to a question put by Councillor Moxon regarding the empty former Wilko's store. Part of your reply, you said, council currently leases the car park immediately above the store and is currently holding over on the existing lease with notice being served to terminate and to seek a new lease at a lower rent.
Sorry, Councillor Wright. The question I've got is for the portfolio holder for the environment.
Oh, that's been
That's
withdrawn.
been withdrawn.
Sorry, Chair, I should have made that clear.
Would you like to start that again then?
I'll start again. Question to the portfolio for regeneration. At the full council of the 16th of July 2024, you gave a response to a question put by Councillor Moxon regarding the empty former Wilko's store. Part of your reply is said, council currently leases the car park immediately above the store and is currently holding over on the existing lease, with notice being served to terminate and to seek a new lease at a lower rent. Rent and lease negotiations have been requested without response to date. My question is, in view of the Walkden Street multi-storey car park still being closed until further notice and with no obvious signs of repair being carried out, can the portfolio holder for regeneration update council the current situation re the lease of the surface car park of the former Wilko's store known as Clumber Street car park? Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Richardson.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Wright, for your question. The council is still holding over on the leasing existing lease, and a notice has been served to terminate and to seek a new lease at a lower rent. The legal team on behalf of Property Services have submitted the application and sent into court back in December. The application has been issued and it is now on the way to the defendant, the landlord. The hearing has been listed for 19th of February 2025. The court application was regarding both the Section 26 notice. This is the council as tenant serving notice on the landlord seeking a new lease and applying for an interim rent.
Councillor Richardson. Councillor Wright, do you have a supplementary question?
I do not. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Move on to item 9 of the agenda, the extract minute from Cabinet, medium-term financial plan 2025 to 26, 27 to 28. Now I'd like to invite Councillor Whitley to present his report.
Thank you, Chair. Tonight we're here to set Mansfield District Council's budget for the coming year and to consider the medium-term financial plan that will guide us through the years ahead. This is never a simple task, and local government finances remain in a fragile state after 14 years of neglect. We've all seen the headlines. 1 in 5 councils across the country are warning they may face bankruptcy in the next 2 years. This is the reality of a system that's been broken for far too long. But here in Mansfield, we've met these challenges head on, and we've taken proactive steps to reduce the exposure to long-term risk, and this budget is proof of that. When we began setting last year's budget, the projected deficit over the 3-year medium term was 5.4 million. Through strong financial oversight and a focus on reducing our long-term deficit, we have halved this gap, putting Mansfield on an even stronger financial footing. A responsible administration makes financial decisions based on the reality at the moment. We froze council tax when residents needed urgent relief during the cost of living crisis because it was the right thing to do at the right time. But freezing it year on year, as happened under the stewardship of our predecessors, has left the council in a much weaker financial position. That short-sighted approach is why we face the challenges we do today. We will not repeat those mistakes. Balancing this budget has not been achieved through sweeping service cuts, but by carefully managing vacancies and staffing costs to avoid unnecessary redundancies, finding efficiencies that protect our core services without impacting frontline support, and making smart, sustainable choices that reduced our exposure to financial shocks in future years. We still have work to do, but this budget demonstrates progress and responsibility, not short-term fixes. For every £10 council tax paid, Mansfield District Council receives just £1. This budget proposes a modest 2.99% increase on the council's share of this bill. Most of the residents of Mansfield, for most of the residents in Mansfield, this equates to around 40 to 50 pence per month, yet it provides vital services and protects vital services that people rely on. The majority of properties in Mansfield are in bands A to C, meaning the most households will see an increase of between £3.80 and £5.80 for the entire year. This is less than a cup of coffee per month. The increase directly funds services that our residents value the most. Through our budget consultation, residents made their priorities clear. The top concern was community safety. This is why we are using revenue from this council tax increase to protect funding for community safety officers, because when we invest in safety, we see results. Mansfield is now the most successful area in Nottinghamshire for reducing shop theft. That is not a coincidence, it's the result of real investment in local enforcement and security. A safer town is also a stronger economy. Mansfield is now ranked amongst the top 10 places in the country to start a business, proof that this approach is working. This is a direct response to what residents told us they wanted to see protected, and we are delivering on that commitment. While we continue to act responsibly with our finances, the reality is that local government funding remains broken. For far too long, councils have been forced to rely on one-off grants, last-minute settlements, and competitive funding pots that leave the communities uncertain about their future. This is why the Labour government is taking decisive action through the local government reorganisation. This is not just about merging councils, it's about fixing a system that's been broken for years and creating a funding model that actually works for local communities. For the first time in many years, we have a government that recognises the scale of the problem and is taking action to address it. It's important to be clear, this financial situation did not appear overnight. For 14 years, the previous Conservative government systematically dismantled local government funding. They forced councils to rely more on council tax whilst cutting central government support. They turned essential funding into a bidding process where councils had to compete with each other for scraps off the table. They ignored warnings after warnings that the system was unsustainable. Now we see the consequences. Councils across the country struggling to stay afloat or going bust. Mansfield has avoided that fate, not because of good fortune, but because we have managed our finances very carefully. This budget is not just about balancing the books, it's about investing in Mansfield's future. We're not just about managing decline, we are leading a transformation. We're backing our words with actions. Millions of pounds has been invested into Mansfield Connect and the ambitious White Hart area residential scheme. These projects will tackle long-standing blight, regenerate key areas, and send a clear message to investors that Mansfield's best days are ahead of it, not behind it. Whilst others have chosen stagnation and short-term gimmicks, we are choosing growth, ambition, and prosperity. Yes, the budget includes a modest council tax increase, and yes, we still face challenges in the years ahead, but this budget protects frontline services, it funds community safety officers, and it positions Mansfield to benefit from the reforms of the new government that the new government will deliver. So tonight I urge all councillors to put residents before rhetoric and principles before political convenience. Mansfield needs leadership, not the latest political trend. This vote is a choice between progress and complacency, between leadership and stagnation. Let's work together and secure Mansfield's future to protect services that people rely on and invest in the town to get this and invest in a town that is moving forward, not looking back. Chair, I formally propose the recommendations set out in section 2 of the medium term financial plan 2025 to 26 to 2027-28. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Whitby. Seconder,
Second and reserve the right.
would anybody like to comment on this motion? Elected Mayor? Councillor Wright?
Thank you, Chair. As no one else is going to, I'll say something. The 2025-26 local government finance settlement provide assurances. It would support local government, delivered a minus £28,000 figure compared to the 2024-25 settlement. The only portion of good news in that is that the new homes bonus came in at plus £267,000 over the same time, 2024-25. So all in all, we had a very welcome surplus over 2024-25 of £240,000. Now, we all know that the Mayor just loves to increase council tax. He's only not done so once since 2019, and that was an election year. I have no doubt he would have done so again for 25-26 budget round, despite the council receiving that £240,000 more overall. This year, he really has little choice but to increase council tax after being let down by his own Chancellor's decision to increase employer national insurance. Rachel from accounts has dropped a £529,000 bombshell on this council over national insurance increase, failed in the October budget. The promised increase would be fully supported across the public sector by the government. That support to MDC amounts to just £166,000, shortfall £363,000, with an indication that further support may be forthcoming in the future. But of course, that may or that may not be the case. So to be clear, £240,000 surplus generated from the new homes bonus will immediately be swallowed up by the need to deliver a balanced budget. There will still be a shortfall of £120,000, which is where the council tax increase at 2.99%. It will deliver £188,000, 120,000 of it which will be needed to balance the budget. I certainly will not be supporting 2.99 increase in council tax. It's clear from this budget that even the Labour administration cannot trust their own government. And the stated commitment of the self-proclaimed former economist at the Bank of England, I will leave supporting the council tax increase to the robotic hands of the raisers of the majority Labour group, which will force the already hard-pressed council taxpayers of Mansfield to pay for the the Labour Chancellor's chaotic decisions. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Moxon.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, let me take you back to 30th of March 2023. Swindon was the location that day for a speech by then Leader of the Opposition, Sir Keir Starmer. At that gathering that day, he said, Labour would freeze council tax, not a penny more on your council tax, not a penny more than the bill you paid last year. And that is a cut for 99% of working people. Fast forward not even 2 years, with Labour having been in power for 7 months, we are here discussing a budget with an apparently modest 2.99% rise in council tax in the district, which is, of course, the maximum. But I suppose we should count ourselves lucky, as other Labour-controlled councils have had permission to increase beyond the legal limit without the need for a referendum. Bradford are having a 10% rise, Newham 9%, Birmingham and Trafford are both having a 7.5% increase. Could this be a sign of things to come in the future? We've already seen this Labour government raiding pensioners' winter fuel allowances, attacking working family farmers, and talk of reducing some disability benefits. Clearly, these are the people with the broadest shoulders. Now we can add the council taxpayers of Mansfield to that list. And why is this? Well, in the budget a couple of months ago, the Chancellor changed national insurance rules for employers. The intent was to hit these wealthy businesses with the extra cost. But the reality is that businesses are having to tighten their belts and reduce salary increases to employees in order to pay for the additional contributions. It was suggested that councils would have their increases fully funded, but the reality is that it's only partially funded here at Mansfield. There is a net cost to the council of £363,000. That's the council taxpayers of Mansfield directly funding these national insurance increases. Those with the broadest shoulders, eh? Last year, Councillor Wright was saying, isn't it a good job the council had invested in property, presumably those purchased under the Mansfield Independence Administration? Well, the famous Clapham property is going to bring us in this budget a revenue of 444,000. Great, you say? Well, not when you compare that to a budgeted cost this year of 657,000. This great investment will cost the taxpayers of Mansfield a net of £213,000 this year. Add this to the 363,000 in national insurance, and that comes to £576,000 of costs, thanks to Labour and the Mansfield Independents, or whatever flavour of party they are this week. Imagine what we could have done with that extra money, investing it in Mansfield and the services the town so desperately needs, whilst also not having to put council tax up by the maximum allowed.
Can I have a point of order there, Chair? Can he, if he's going to talk to us, can he refrain and speak who we are? We are reformed councillors now, so can I ask him to do that, please?
I think that's reasonable, councillors.
Well, yeah, you're used to Mansfield Independence, you're now reformed councillors. But you're still the same people that did it. Well, absolutely. We met with the 151 officer last week, and I thank her and her team for the time and effort put into this budget. The majority of this budget is fixed, and we are potentially talking yet again about small amounts on the periphery of the budget. But to paraphrase Councillor Bergin, they've got the numbers, so there's no point in debating this any further. We'll be abstaining on this budget today.
Councillor Moxon, does anybody else have any comments? Councillor Richardson.
Further to Councillor Bergin's speech there, that if you,
Councillor Moxon.
sorry, Councillor, yeah, Whitby. Thanks for that. Further to his speech there has been a 40% drop in retail crime in Mansfield Town Centre that's been widely recognised throughout the district, and that's because of the partnership working that we've been pushing for the past 6 years since we first got elected. It's no surprise to us, and so I just like that noted, Chair. Thank you.
Councillor Richardson. Mayor, Councillor Bergen.
Thank you, Chair. Just briefly, I mean, it's good to hear that Councillor Moxon is going to abstain from voting to increase council tax. I look forward to the county council meeting in a few weeks' time when they set up their budget to see if the massive increase that gets put on Mansfield District Council taxpayer, Mansfield District taxpayers is imposed by the county council if he takes the same tack there and doesn't vote to increase the council tax at the county council.
Does anyone else have any comments? Councillor Stendhal.
Thank you. Believe it or not, it seems like 12 months has just disappeared. We've not lived it. It's 2 minutes since we sat in this council chamber debating this very same thing last year. And I said then, we're voting today on a budget. It's a moving feast. It's a document that whatever we vote on, it has to be balanced. And tomorrow it can change. I'm not happy about increasing council tax, never have been. But there are some areas where we have to make sure that Mansfield residents know they're going to get the services that they want. The main service that people do want, and everybody tells me, they want the dustbins emptied. It's top of the list. So I just want to make it clear, I'm not for increasing council tax. It's not, it goes against the grain with me. However, I know that the members on the scrutiny and everyone involved in putting this budget together have worked hard and looked where they can make the changes, make the savings, put things in place. As I say, it's not something I want to vote for. I will vote for it, but I want to make it clear that I am not happy about putting council tax up at all. And I hope that in the future and next year, year after, the 2 years left of this term, that maybe next year and year after that we can be looking at balancing this council tax increase again, no matter which government's in. Because we sit here, I sit here as an independent, and here you're to-ing and fro-ing across this council chamber about one thing and another thing, and it all amounts to just tit-tatting. We have to look at the details in this report, and yes, it is difficult. It's been hard. There's some things I don't agree with, some things I do, but that's my stance on it, so thank you.
To clarify things, you keep talking about the 14 years, you've been in charge 6 months now, so that's getting a bit thin. The other thing is the biggest problem of this council, the biggest problem of the finance is not caused by what is happening, it's by what happened in the past, about 5 or 6 years ago, when the Reform Party who were in charge then, that's what we pointed out. Reform Party made this dire decision to buy these investments that are going to set us up for the future. Well, that went wrong. That's costing us.
Clarification there. Point of clarification, please. It keeps referring to these investments. It's not specifying which one.
Right, okay.
We've made plenty of investments, and those investments were made. Some of those investments are still bringing over £2.9 million in. You forget to say that, Councillor Camilleri. And the flats in London, you keep saying the ones we bought. Let me tell you now, I've said it in this chamber 50 times. We never bought the flats in London, and if it were left to me, we shouldn't be touching them. We've never owned them. We've never owned those flats. So you're wrong in what you're saying. Do
you want to continue, Councillor Camilleri?
Well, he would say that, wouldn't he, really? But that's what's happening. We carry all this debt from the past. It really is difficult for Andy and you to do. I've been in those budget meetings. I know what it's like, extremely difficult. But some councils do get it right. Mainly Conservative councils. Notts County Council, on budget. We haven't closed the library. We've not shut any services down. We've done a fantastic job one of the best county councils in the country. Check it out. That's a fact. Conservatives doing it. We've just built a SEND school that I've been part of. It's coming in on budget, on time, and it's Conservatives getting things done. And what I'm saying is this council has had really bad management for many, but not bad management, bad things for many years. And that's what we're paying for now. Not saying you're doing it, Craig, but it's very difficult for you to get us out of the mess. You're having no money coming in. That's the problem. No money coming in and money going out. And I really sympathise with what you're going to do. And I will help you over the next 2 or 3 years, because we're going to go into the council's going to wind down. We've got to make sure the council doesn't go to pot. We've got to stick together and try and put some of these right that reform got wrong. And God help us if they get the
Point of order again, Chair. Sorry about this. But he keeps referring that we've got stuff wrong, and he's just making stupid comments.
Right. Thank you both. Thank you. That's it. Thank you. Going to close this discussion down now. Elected Mayor.
Yeah, so we talk about tittle tattle and details. You can't get away from the underfunding of local government over the last 14 years. And it's had a consequence on councils investing on planned preventative maintenance. And you talk about Walkton Street, you talk about the Four Seasons car park, you talk about infrastructure across the whole piece. You know, it's not in this chamber that it's the roads or the NHS. There's a knock-on effect everywhere from underinvestment as a result of lack of funding in public services. We could go across onto social care. We can go on to waiting lists. All these things are connected to do with underinvestment over a long period of time. Now, I refer them to Reform now, but as they were Mansfield Independent Forum or Mansfield Independents, they made some investments, and they were made those investments because they were forced to, because of underfunding from local government. But when I came in, it's like pyramid sales. It's an unsustainable financial model. You can't keep looking all the way across the country to cherry pick some investment to try and get some money to bring back into your own town. It's a nonsense. And that pyramid, and the government saw that. They got rid of it because only those people at the top, there are a few people, probably a bit of insider dealing, people who know what's going on. They know where all the good deal is. They took the money. And then the rest kind of on investments that don't pay fruition. Now, with regard to the specific investment we're talking about in London, that is indirectly also due to the lack of funding in local government. At one time, we used to have building inspectors. We didn't have contractors self-regulating their own work. You had inspectors in local government that would check the works, but all that got cut away, and that has led, and it's not just that property, our property in London, all the way across the city you can see there's been specifications have slipped through that don't deal with fire, works haven't been checked. So it's all to do with this lack of funding in public services as a knock-on effect all the way through. So what is the choice? Right, if you can't get the money from central government, you have to look locally, and at least we do a referendum and we speak to the people about what they value and what they would actually make their council tax to pay for those services. And we got a very positive response because people are sick of everything falling apart and they want their services protected. And when we come to the money, you know, okay, 22 billion black hole. Let's not talk about honesty from the Conservative Party about finances. And unless you can see through that we've got to have a dramatic change in direction to get funding in to deal with these projects across the board, you name it, health, social care, roads, buildings, education, this country is going to collapse. And that is why this has become an important thing, that money has to be acquired to fix Britain. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just a couple of comments on some of the things that's been said. I think we did a superb job this time last year. We took a lot of tough decisions last year, and we were looking at a £5.4 million deficit over 3 years. That's come down to just over 2 million. If you look at the appendix 2 in the report, that shows we're heading in the right direction. It also meant this year, heading into the budget setting process, that we're able to put a bigger chunk of money to one side. It's a good job we did, because we didn't get the windfall that had us fingers crossed for, but it meant because of that prudent planning that we were able to absorb that and accept the changes that were put forward by the overview and scrutiny process in this budget setting process. And I'd just like to thank members who took part in that process. It does make it a much more open and transparent system. Public can come to some of those meetings and have some input. So it's good, it's open, it's transparent, and it's allowed us to get to another balanced budget. And I would also like to just finish off by thanking Dawn, our Section 151 officer, and her team for the support in this process. And also thanks for all the comments. Lots of political posturing, not a single suggestion on what we can change or proposal on what we should change in this budget, which I could have potentially expected tonight. But I think that's because there is no easy answers. We've gone through everything with a fine tooth comb, and every year it's the same, and it just gets more and more difficult. So thanks for your comments, and I'd like to move it to the vote.
Thank you, Councillor Whitby. Now going to take a vote by a show of hands. So this will be in a recorded vote. Mark, would you record it, please? Thank you.
Okay, members, when I call your name, if you could tell me whether you're voting for, against, or abstaining. Elected Mayor. For. Councillor Anderson. Councillor Barton.
Against.
Councillor Beatrice. Councillor Bell. Councillor Bergin.
For.
Councillor Callaghan. Councillor Camilleri. Councillor Clay. Councillor Cole. Councillor Coxhead.
For.
Councillor Ellis. Councillor Garner. Councillor Hammersley. Councillor Hart Sean. Councillor Lynn Henshaw. Councillor Paul Henshaw. Councillor Hughes. Councillor Inkle. Councillor Jackson. Councillor Langrick. Councillor Metcalfe. Councillor Moxon. Councillor North. Councillor Richardson. Councillor Stendhal. Councillor Stevenson. Councillor Swinscoe. Councillor Tempest Mitchell. Councillor Walker. Councillor Wetton. Councillor Whitby.
For.
Councillor Wright.
Thank you. So those voting for is 25, against 2 and abstained are 6. Therefore, the motion is carried. Thank you. Move to item 10 on the agenda, revenue and capital forecast at quarter 2. I'd like to invite Councillor Whitley to present and propose his report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm presenting the revenue and capital forecast for Q2, which provides an update to our financial position for the year. We will continue to face financial pressures. This report outlines how we are managing our budgets effectively and to maintain stability and deliver key priorities. I ask Council to note that the Q2 position for the General Fund, Housing Revenue Account and capital programmes are set out in recommendation 2.2. Additionally, I seek approval for the reallocation of funding to ensure money is fully utilised and carried forward of capital projects to the next financial year and adjustments within the housing revenue account to support priority developments as detailed in recommendations 2.3 to 2.6. These measures ensure we remain financially responsible whilst keeping key projects on track. I therefore move the recommendations as set out in the report are accepted. Thank you.
Thank you. Seconder.
Second and reserve the right.
You elected Mayor. Does anybody wish to comment? Councillor Bergin.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to echo what Councillor Whip said earlier about thanking Dawn, but also all of our budget holders for the excellent job they've been doing in managing their budgets to make sure that we are on top of our financial position. It is challenging, but they're doing an excellent job. Thank you.
Mayor.
I'd just like to say it's a really tricky balance, but we're managing to manage our budgets, but also invest in Mansfield and invest in the much needed housing stock and things that have been left for far too long. And that's going to make an improvement, a real improvement in the lives of our residents with those better improved facilities. It's going to take some time, and but it's the right way forward. Improves the quality of life. Further to add, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Motion to the votes. We by show of hands. Those for. Any against? Any abstentions? The motion is carried. Item 11 on the agenda has now been removed. Thank you. So move to item 12 on the agenda. Motions. Are there any motions for the meeting?
On Chair.
Thank you. Thank you for attending, everybody. So we'll close the meeting to 1900 hours. Thank you.